Welcome to Conversations. I'm Muqtada Khan, your host, and today I'm going to talk to you about a rather troubling development that I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with it. The protests, the anti-immigration protests that you might have seen and that have been taking place in Australia, especially Sydney, Melbourne, and other cities. It was a nationwide anti-immigration protest that was held in Australia. So I want to talk to you about those protests and what they really mean. Because even though apparently I was a bit surprised when I went and actually looked at them, they are not just anti immigrant protests, they are actually targeting Indians. And that was a bit troubling to say the least. So Indians seem to be the target of the protests from Australians who are protesting immigrants. So you can look at some of these protests in the videos of the protests. I will show them to you. But look at these images that are coming out of Australia. Thousands and thousands of people have marched out there. Uh, Australia is a very small country, and so for 20, 30,000, 10,000 people turning up out in small cities is also a very big deal. So this whole issue of protesters coming out in Australia was to me quite surprising, because at some point, in some ways, you do see that the Australians are uh, behaving in a way which is quite optimistic and positive towards immigrants. There was a massive protest in Sydney a couple of weeks ago, seeking to defend the creation of a Palestinian state. That was massive. And so there is this huge issue, with what is going to happen as far as immigration in the Western countries are concerned. There is no doubt that there is a very strong anti-immigration wave going on all over Europe for the past few years. For example, the Brexit movement, which essentially uh, uh, UK left European Union after a massive referendum, etc., uh, creating a huge, shall we say, disturbance in the British economy, and it hasn't yet recovered from Brexit. That was also because of anti-immigration. But until now, most of the anti-immigration sentiment in the Western countries, especially in Europe, it was primarily against Muslims and North Africans. So the anti-immigration wave was against Muslims who were coming from the Middle East, from South Asia, even North Africa. Many of them who've been there for generations, because many of the European countries colonized these people. So Algerians have been living there for more than 100 years. Libyans have been living in Italy for more than 100 years. So there have been lots and lots of Muslim and North African immigrants living in various European countries for close to 100 years now. And so suddenly we find, with the declining population of white people in Europe, the rise of Islam, and now that same anger that was, oh, we are losing our culture, we are losing our civilization, there are too many immigrants here. They're not just taking our job, but they're actually changing the identity and destiny of our nations. So this existential fear of the Western countries was driving and a lot of anger towards primarily Muslims. Sad to say that many Indians also started playing that game and spreading hatred towards Muslims, especially in England and Europe. So you can see Indian lots and lots of BJP IT cell type of people, Hindutva activists, promoting anti-Muslim and Islamophobic rhetoric in Europe, echoing rhetoric. Like, for example, every time Elon Musk would say something Islamic, anti-Muslim, then that would be, reverberating to the Indian ecosystem. And a lot of lies were also generated in the Indian social media, which was then transferred to Europe. So until now, primarily the anti-immigrant sentiment in Europe was targeting Muslims and North Africans. And in the US, it is primarily anti-Mexican, anti-South American. So it is anti-Hispanic primarily. And so so we have witnessed this a long time. Even in the time of Obama, there was. That's why we call President Barack Obama as the deporter in chief. So you can see that these kind of protests have been happening in the West for quite a bit. So once you see these images in Australia, it has come as quite a bit of a surprise because Australia has a huge, gigantic continent. It is bigger than the United States in area, and its population is what, about maximum 40 million people or less. So they can literally they could take a billion people and still not run out of space. But this sudden anger towards immigrants is because of the relative decline of the white Anglo Anglo population. Basically, white Christians are not producing enough. The fertility rates are low, so that anger is there. If you look at some of the protests in Sydney and Melbourne, there's a lot of anti-Muslim, anti-Jewish, and racist rhetoric also. But primarily, what is happening is that it is focusing on India a lot. So let me show you this interesting short video in which there is not only protesters who are protesting against immigration, but there are also people who are protesting in favor of the Palestinian state. So you find, even though there aren't many Muslims or Muslim South Asians or Arabs in Australia, I will show you the data and then you'll realize, but yet the support for the Palestinians is enormous. The entire country, it looked as if was standing for the Palestinians, and so Albanese had to change his policies towards Israel and towards the war in Gaza. But this sudden right wing, and this is coming from right wing, it is kind of, there's something like a poetic justice, because in India, it is the right wing people who go after Bangladeshis and say, oh, yeah, Guspitiya, these are Guspitiyas, these are people who have sneaked into the country, and they treat them as something low lives. And on top of that, I mean, to give you an idea of how badly India treats people who they think are illegal migrants, even without proving that they are illegal migrants. In the month of April this year and in May, in Ahmedabad, 8,000 homes were simply bulldozed. And the justification was that these were illegal migrants from Bangladesh. 8,000 families became homeless. It is not that they were deported. They were not arrested. They were not detained. They were not deported. There was no court cases proving that each one of them is an illegal person. They just destroyed 8,000 homes. They made their own population homeless. So now there are 8,000 homeless people moving around. In fact, I did participate in a fundraiser to help these poor people with blankets, etc., when the winter comes, and trying to send them some food here from the United States. And on top of that, the Modi government does not allow people anymore, for foreigners, to send even aid to poor people in India, unless the sender is also Hindu and the recipient is also some Hindu organization. Then it is easy to send money. But if you're a Muslim or a Sikh and you're trying to send money to help people whose homes have been destroyed, in America we have about 700,000, 7 lakh Indians who are here illegally and who have, basically, they are Guspitiyas. Some Indians are so desperate that they are leaving their children, small children, on the border and running away, hoping that the US government will take their children and then send them to foster homes or to their relatives who are already here in the US. So this whole thing is getting globally. There's a tremendous anti-immigration sentiment as people become more and more nationalistic. Nationalism brings out the worst in people. That's why there's this famous quote you must have heard, that patriotism is the last refuge of the scoundrels, because that allows them, it justifies them to do lots of horrible things. Look at this protest, for example.
Israel
So these neo-Nazis basically were marching, and then they actually ran into a pro-Palestine protest, and there was a fight between the two protesters there. So this is a very strange. Uh, 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 so it is a very interesting issue that is going on there, and it is a bit ironic, shall we say, or poetic justice, because in India, these kind of things are done by the right wing people in India. The Indian Nazis are the ones who go after illegal immigrants. They are the ones who go after the minorities. The only thing that they do is that they take the time off to watch conversations. As you can see from the comments, uh, they just love to watch my shows. It's like a self-hating, masochistic personalities, I think, that they love to come and watch here, because I have nothing nice to say about these people. They are Nazis, they are nasty, racist people, and they bring out the worst, and they make their own countries look extremely horrible, because many of these people who have gone to these countries were invited. You have no idea, when I was in the third year of my engineering and the fourth year of my engineering, every week I would get this big stack of admissions and invitations from American universities to apply. And even when I went to business school, while I was doing my MBA, I was getting at my home. I think they got my home address because I was a member of the British Library and I used to check out books from the British Library. So I used to get lots and lots of universities telling me about how wonderful life was in the United States and that they would give me full scholarship. And they did. And my life, alhamdulillah, is wonderful. So we came here more or less at the invitation of these countries who promised us good lives. And now suddenly there is that they are turning on that, and most of the people who are just turning are right-wing people, very nasty, very racist, very low morality. Usually they themselves are big losers, so they are kind of now envying people who are foreigners and who are doing well. So there is a lot of this thing going. They themselves are not doing well. They are not very well educated. The world is moving towards a knowledge-based economy. So you can't just be a mechanic or a farmer or anything and do well in this world. So like one person who develops a software program can become a billionaire within a few years, but no farmer is ever going to become a billionaire that quickly. So there is a lot of this resentment at the relative growth of immigrants, at the relative success of immigrants. And so these things are happening. But they're also now beginning to target Indians in particular. And that is what I want to talk about a little bit more and show you some data as to why perhaps they are. So let's talk first about just Australia, because this is happening in the context of Australia. So in Australia, if you look at the top countries of birth as of mid 2024, I couldn't find more latest data. 1 million people are from England. These are people who were born in England and are now living in Australia. I don't know what their legal status is. They could be residents, they could be citizens, they could be visitors, they could be part-timers who are coming there to play cricket in Big Bash and then go back. Whatever it is, there are 1 million uh, British people. But you must also realize that many of these immigrants could be there for 30, 40 years, or they could be children of parents. In fact, most Australians at some point or the other came from England. So so right now, the biggest source of immigrants is England. But the difference is that they are Christian and they are white mostly, and they easily assimilate in Australian culture. They have the same tastes in cuisine, they have the same taste in sports, etc. The second biggest nationality of people are Indians, 916,000. And then you have the Chinese, which are about 700,000. And then you can see New Zealand, Philippines, Vietnam, South Africa, Nepal, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka. So one thing that you can see outright is that there are very few Muslim countries from where immigrants are coming to Australia. So as many Indians are trying to portray that this anti-immigration sentiment is anti-Muslim sentiment, that is not the case in the case of Australia, because the top 10 countries from where immigrants are coming are not Muslim countries except Malaysia. And most of the Malaysians who have migrated to Australia are the Chinese Malaysians, not necessarily the Muslim. The Malays have not gone there. Malaysia is composed of three big ethnicities. You have the Malays, who are all Muslims. Then you have the Chinese, who are either Muslim or Christian or Buddhist. And then you have Indians, who are mostly Tamil and Hindu. And Indians are about 10%, I think, in Malaysia. And then you have the Chinese Americans and the Chinese Malaysians, and Malay Malays are about 65%. So most of the Asian immigrants are from India, China, Philippines, Vietnam, Nepal, and Malaysia, and Sri Lanka. So a lot of South Asians, really. There are no Pakistanis, interestingly, at least in the top 10. So this sentiment is focusing really on India, because in the last 5 years, the biggest source of immigration to Australia was Indian. And it's not just legal migration. There are lots and lots of students who are coming back and staying. And there are a lot of donkeys. If you may have seen the movie Donkey with Shah Rukh Khan, shows how India has developed all these pathways to illegal migration to the West. And so they are all there. And so the projection for the next 5 years is that majority of people who will be coming from overseas will also be Indians. So there is a lot of what should we call visual impact. So, for example, when Australia was playing India in MCG, there were many commentators who say it appears that there are more Indians in the stadium than Australians. So people who are living in Australia are cheering India and not Australia. So even if they are Indians who were born there, who are citizens there, they are cheering India and not Australia. To them, that is not assimilation. So that is a new sentiment that has risen in Australia. It has been a bit old in the US, and it usually targets essentially Mexicans and Latinos, but now it's beginning to target Asians, because Asians are the biggest source of migrants. So you can see that India, in going forward, India is going to be a major source. Indians are going there in the thousands. They're going there as students for finding work visas and illegally. I find it very interesting. I migrated out of India for several reasons. I migrated because the Babri Masjid was destroyed. I could not bear that. I also migrated because as a Muslim, I felt at that time that I was not being given the same equal status in India that others were getting. And so America promised me a better democracy, more meritocracy. And yes, for example, when I applied to engineering, there was absolutely no reservation for me. I looked at the applications and said, oh my God, 50% of the seats were all reserved for Hindus. So as a Muslim, I would only have a chance to get into the next 50% of the seats. So for me, I felt that I was being discriminated for my religious identity. That was the reason why I left India. But now I find it amusing that there's so much of strong pro-India Hindu nationalists. People come here, and you should see the comments that they make here. If you read their comments, you would believe that India is the most powerful country on earth. India is the richest country on earth. India is the best democracy on earth, and Hindu nationalists are the best people on earth. But usually they are the worst. They make the worst comments. And what is special about these Hindu nationalists are they don't want to live in India. Even Modi's Gujarati people, most of the illegal immigrants to America are from Gujarat. They spend about 85 lakh rupees to come here as illegal immigrants. Can you imagine that? Spending $100,000 to come to America and be an illegal person, to be a Guspitia? They must be rich in India to have that much money. They can't be borrowing money. They must be selling assets or businesses, or they have savings. And they are coming here in large numbers. They are still coming, even though there's massive control on the borders, etc. So they are coming in many ways across the border. They fly in on visas and overstay. If you remember, Suella Beverman, who was the Home Secretary under Rishi Sunak, she had exposed the data that Indians are the people who overstay. It's not just even poor Indians who have no future in India who are running away. Even rich Indians don't want to live in India. Look at Virat Kohli now. His career is over. Where does he want to live? He wants to live in London. So it's like that. A lot of rich people are moving either to Dubai or to London or to US. And I guarantee you, when the golden card comes out, the golden visa card that Donald Trump is going to issue, which people will have to pay $5 million to get basically a green card in the US, I'm willing to bet Indians will be in the top two at least coming to the US, if not the most. So most rich Indians will buy the American green card, in spite of all the hate towards America and all the rubbish that you are seeing on the social media, which is anti-Trump, anti-America. America is going to go down. America is finished. All that rubbish, and you will see that Indians will be one of them. Right now, look at the amount of people who are moving to Dubai. And they're moving their money to Australia. This year, I think 3,000 millionaires are going to leave India, Indian millionaires. 2 years ago, you can Google this, information is out there, 5,000 Indian millionaires left India. And for some reason, they went to UK, or they're coming to the US, or Australia is the biggest magnet. But after this racism display with all the neo-Nazis who are coming out, I think more people will hesitate to migrate to Australia, and they will think more of going to Spain and Portugal and Ireland before people there also become angry and hateful. So these are the top 10 countries. And I also wanted to tell you that if you look at the data for, I'll just quickly run that to you. You can always Google the information, but I'll just give it to you. So if you look at the top if you look at Australia, the Australian population is not very big, and especially after pandemic, there has been a spurt of lots and lots of people migrating. So a high proportion of foreign-born residents in Australia is now 31.5%. So, for example, 1 out of 3 Australians was not born in Australia today. And apparently, this is the highest since 1892. Since 1892, this is the highest that 1/3 of the population is born overseas. Migration is beginning to slow down. They said the net overseas migration in 2023 was 446,000. But a year before that, it was 536,000. So imagine getting 500,000 people, 5 lakh people coming in every year. In America now, we have 55 lakh Indians here in America, and of that, 7 lakh are completely illegal. And then there are many who are in various stages of green cards or H-1Bs, etc. So if you look at the data of these 4 countries, which are the most favorite for people to migrate, when I say migrate, it's not just to go. Like, lots of people go to Saudi Arabia and Dubai and Kuwait and Bahrain, but they don't go with the expectation of becoming a citizen. But most people who are going to US, Canada, Australia, even like that famous Indian movie star Akshay Kumar, for example, he gave up Indian citizenship to become a Canadian citizenship. So all these people who are going to these so-called, shall we say, Five Eye countries, including New Zealand. It's in New Zealand too. Indians are now the biggest migrants, but we haven't seen any backlash there yet, because New Zealanders are having a different problem. The white people from New Zealand are migrating to Australia, as you saw in the data, and so there is actually need for human capital, and so they are still accepting a lot of Indians. So if you are ready to run away from the Hindu Rashtra, from Prime Minister Modi's government, Modi hai to bhago slogan, then go to New Zealand now before they begin to close the doors. So in the US, we have now about 330,000 international students from India. We have this year, sorry, in 2024, last year, 399,000 H1B visas were issued, and 91,000 Indians crossed the border illegally. 97,000, sorry. So 97,000 Guspitias came in 2024. Of the 400,000, about 80% are Indians on the H1B visa. So you could say about 320,000 came on H1B visas to the US, and about 330,000 international students, all hoping to stay back. And then if you look at Canada, it's even incredible. In 2023, 533,000 students went to Canada, were in Canada from India. There's a racket going on. There are a lot of Canadian universities who are fake universities, and a lot of people from Punjab have used student visas to basically migrate. And Canada has a terrible law which allows international students to work off campus full time. So basically, you just come to America, to Canada on a student visa, and then you find a job and start working full time, and you're legal. In America, it's not like that. You can only work 20 hours if you don't have a scholarship, and you can only work on campus. So you can't take any job. And if you take a job now, given Donald Trump, they are simply grabbing you, and if they catch you, they're deporting you right away, and they will cancel your visas. But nevertheless, so Canada laws itself made this easy to happen. Australia, I don't have the number for how many Indians have been going to Australia, but we know the biggest number. The total number of Indians who are living there are now close to 1,909.6 lakh Indians live there. And in UK, of course, there are lakhs and millions of it, about a million people. And Indians are 23% of all foreigners who come to England now are Indians. And what they are doing basically is, Indians are the biggest people who overstay their visas. So they go there on British business visa, student visa, whatever, and they overstay there in England. And so they are, I don't know, there's going to be a backlash. And the best part is, it's going to be right wingers. In India, all these Modi Bhags and all the BJP and RSS people, they were so happy that right wing parties were winning elections in Europe, the Donald Trump, Ab ke baar, Trump Sarkar, and all of these tops. If you look at Laura Loomer, who is on X on Twitter, go and see Laura Loomer's tweets about Indians after Donald Trump said that India was trying to offer 0% tariffs on goods, but it's too late now. He sent that Truth Social post. He made it, I think, yesterday in the morning. I talked about it in my other shows. And then you can see that Laura Loomer, and then there are others who are really, really very horrible, who are saying extremely anti-India things on Twitter. I can tell you their names, and you can go and look at how nasty they are becoming. So there is it's not Hindu phobia, don't get confused. It is not Hindu phobia, it is anti-India sentiment because of various things. And I'll tell you what the reasons are also with the anti-India sentiment that is brewing in the West. And now with this fight with Donald Trump, as Donald Trump says horrible things about India, Peter Navarro says horrible things, and then people in India will start saying horrible things about America. It'll be all over social media, it'll all be over Twitter. And then as a result of all of those horrible things being said, you will suddenly find that there will be a mutual hatred rather than mutual appreciation and respect and recognition between the two people. So the people to people relationship could go down the drain, and that is a big fear. There is also this problem that India brags a lot. I find it so strange. It is India which is Vishwa Guru. Who made India Vishwa Guru? Where do Indians go to study? Not to India. They are going in lakhs and lakhs to the West. They want to come to America. America is Vishwa Guru. People from all over the world want to come to America. America every year gets more Nobel Prizes in sciences, forget about the politics, in sciences than India has in its entire history. Let that sink in. America gets more Nobel Prizes for scientific subjects more or less in 1 or 2 years than India has got in its entire history. So what Vishwa Guru are you talking about? Look at IT stuff. The thing that India is so proud of is IT. There's nothing, no big brand from India. At least China has TikTok, China has Alibaba, China has DeepSeek when it comes to AI. There are two parts to IT. Hardware, China dominates entirely. It's more than $1 trillion just making iPhones, iPads, computers, chips, etc. And then when it comes to services, go and check on this. In IT services, China is more than double of India. And China is bigger than the US. US is $500 billion in IT services. China is $600 billion in IT services. India's total is less than 300 billion in IT services. So China is more than double of India and 25% bigger. But the Chinese don't go around bragging and saying we are Vishwa Gurus, etc. Indians do that. Let me give you an example of how Indian immigrants have become so arrogant and how they talk when they are on work. So recently, someone interviewed an Indian woman who is in Japan and see how she was talking. And then you tell me how, if she said this in English, then if the Japanese understood that, then how the Japanese would feel and react about Indian immigrants. Listen to this.
वो प्राउड मोमेंट है ना, उन्होंने हमें इतने ऊपर पहुंचाया है, हम सब लोग यहाँ पे सेफली रह रहे हैं। जापान में वो पॉसिबल नहीं है वैसे, पर उनके कनेक्शंस की वजह से हम यहाँ सेफली हैं। वो इसीलिए ही पॉसिबल है कि हम यहाँ सेफ हैं। अदरवाइज मुझे नहीं लगता, क्योंकि जापानीज लोग भी हमें थोड़ा बहुत चलता ही है, पर हम उन्हीं की वजह से यहाँ हम सेफ।
So this woman who's been living in Japan for 8 years, okay, safely, she's alive. You don't see that she's damaged. She obviously prefers to live in Japan. Otherwise, she can take the next flight home, which she has not done. And she's saying that she's not safe in Japan because Japanese people, you know how they are. What does she mean by Japanese people, how they are? And see, the only reason why she apparently is safe is because, oh, is because Prime Minister Modi has connections in Japan, apparently. I was so shocked when I saw this on Twitter. And you can see the long, full interview. She goes on and on. She talks about Modi as her father and whatever. So the point that I'm trying to make is that there has been a lot of rhetoric coming around from various aspects of India, where those who are also good. So it's not as if I'm not going to escape this anti-India hate when it starts. It will. In fact, I will suffer double. I will be hated because I'm from India, and I will be hated because I'm a Muslim, and I also keep the Indian flag out there, even though. And I also get hate from Indians, so it's like a multiple. I'm like a magnet for hate. I'll be hated for being Muslim, hated for being Indian, and then hated from Indians because I'm a Muslim. Because that's all Indians these days are taught. The new meaning of Bharat is to hate Muslims and hate Islam. And then I will be hated by Indians because I'm an American. So this is like I'm glad that I probably will not be on this planet for more than maybe 10, 15 years, 20 years. I'll be happy. So there is some nasty stuff going on. It will need a lot of good diplomacy by the government. This government is incapable of good diplomacy. It keeps running from one country to another, then messes up there too. If you watch my show about how the Ministry of External Affairs of China got really, really upset with India just 3-4 days before Modi's meeting with Xi Jinping. And then Modi went to Japan. It talked about Quad, came to China, did not stay back for China's celebration of the 80th victory for independence from Japan. And then India is now with Taiwan, with China, with Japan, and also with RIC. So all these smart aleck kind of policies are beginning to backfire in a big way. And also the Indian government is more interested in protecting Modi than Indian national interests. So they want to protect BJP and the Hindu Rashtra and its control of Indian politics. So the Bihar election is more important than India's relations. So desperate that Modi, basically because Donald Trump now does not respect him, does not treat India well, Modi decided to run to China and Russia. And guess what? Modi completely forgot that just in May, China was practically at war with India, supporting Pakistan with weapons. 80% of the weapons that were used during Operation Sindoor by Pakistan came from Turkey, a little bit from Turkey, mostly from China. The missiles which destroyed Rafale and other two jets that everybody in the world except India accepts were Chinese PL-15, whatever those things are. They're air-to-air missiles that the Chinese gave. The jet fighters that Pakistan was using were also from China. China provided real-time intelligence, and subsequently, in every major diplomatic forum, uh, China was helping Pakistan. And now Modi, because Donald Trump, he doesn't have America in his corner. Now he ran to Russia and China and is pretending as if relations with China were good since October last year. No, they were not good. You were at war. And I guarantee you, if Donald Trump had given India even 15% tariffs, or let's say 14% tariffs, and had not imposed the further penalties of 25%, oh, then India would not have gone to RIC. India would not have gone to China. Remember, Modi canceled the SCO summit when he was president in India in 2023, made it a virtual summit, and then Modi didn't go to the SCO summit in 2024. Now he went running because he wants protection from China and Russia, or rather, he's seeking support from Russia and China against the aggressive behavior of Donald Trump. This is not strategic autonomy, this is strategic dependency. So I think as long as you have people who are bragging about how great and powerful they are, India is a $4 trillion economy. It is one fifth of China. This is China at 19 plus trillion dollars. This is India at $1 trillion. This, sorry, this is China, and this is India. One, this is four, and this is nearly 20. You can say like this, 19. And then if India is one, then America is 30 times, 7 or 8 times bigger at $30 trillion. India is $4 trillion. And then you talk about being Vishwa Guru, rising power, this and that. It's absolutely rubbish. 2% growth of the US at $30 trillion is $600 billion. $600 billion at 2% growth. If India grows at 10%, its growth rate, it'll be just $400 billion every year. So I think there has to be some modesty and some recognition. And I think there's a global backlash. Let's hope it doesn't happen. Let's hope it doesn't happen, because I don't want to see, especially Indian students, so many of my students, we were having a reception for new students who came. We have a lot of new students coming from India, from Pakistan, from Bangladesh. And so we were having a reception just last week for new PhD students. And then suddenly in the middle, before the so we had this many rounds. We had food, we have salads, and then dessert, and then tea and coffee. This was a luncheon kind of a reception for graduate students. And then suddenly we see a lot of graduate students running, and one of them is from India. And I said, "Where are you running? The reception is not yet over." And she said, "Dr. Khan, I'm afraid I might get a parking ticket." She's afraid that she might get a ticket. And, if it was last year, I would have said, "Don't worry, I'll pay your ticket. Just hang around and, meet the new faculty, meet the new students." But now it's not about $20 parking fine. It is, she's afraid that her visa will be canceled if she gets a parking ticket. So the atmosphere has become very, very difficult. I regularly meet with students, international students, and we are talking about their dissertations. And the first thing I tell all my students now is finish it as quickly as possible. They don't want to finish it as quickly as possible because they want to remain in America for as long as they like. So, I mean, I have students from Mumbai, from Punjab, from mostly Delhi, and because social sciences, I think the North Indians are pretty good, especially in the Delhi JNU environment. So I spend time with them. I know about their families, about their home condition and the situation with India. So they are all suddenly very nervous. Last year they were so optimistic. I remember my students talking about doing their dissertations on Quad, on Indo-Pacific, etc. Now I have to go back and we have to revisit those people who are doing their research on Quad, on Indo-Pacific, etc. Because those research questions may have become irrelevant. So if they end up doing a dissertation on these topics, on India, US, like one student wanted to do a paper on India, US strategic and technological partnership. And I don't know what to say to her now, especially since Donald Trump has canceled his proposed visit to the Quad. So it does appear that Indo US relations are going to be on a pause, at least while Donald Trump is president. So I think that I just wanted to let you know, and for you to worry about this. This is not. I'm not trying to like mm, scare the hell out of you, but I do want you to know this, especially if your children are planning to come to the US. I would alert you. There are other places you can go to. You can go to Norway. You can go to Sweden. You can go to Switzerland. Hong Kong is also a very good place to do PhD. They have very good stipends and scholarships. Uh, uh, Japan also has, but they take very small volumes. But the point is, if India is Vishwaguru, then why do you need to go to? Yes, I can understand if you got into Harvard or Stanford or the top universities like Oxford and Cambridge, but why go to obscure universities in the West? All these 300,000 students, you think they're studying in Ivy Leagues? No, they're not. I've had nieces from Hyderabad who have come here from India and they have studied in okay schools. I actually forgot the name of that university because it's not a major brand, right? So there are a lot of people who are coming even now. Yes, I have another nephew who just came and is going to study in Ivy League. Great for him because it has a global brand. But if you're going to Arizona State, for example, why would you want to study in Arizona State or Phoenix University? Unless, of course, you want to stay back in America, then it's a different reason. Then any admission, any visa is acceptable. But I would suggest you go to NUS, the National University of Singapore. It is better than University of Delaware in many fields. But if you want to come to America and not go to Singapore, then that's a different story. So I think Indians will have to start thinking in terms of studying at home, finding jobs at home, because the global environment for immigrants is going to get terrible. Not just for India, remember that. It's going to be for everybody: Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan, most African countries. And I think this could become a problematic in terms of security issues. Uh, about a year ago, uh, so in the last 1 year, I went to several countries, uh, but I'm going to share two experiences. One uh, of Italy and the other in Spain. So nowadays, I'm a bit older, so well, I travel with my wife, and even if I go for a conference, we stay a little longer and we watch. So we took a train from Rome to Florence because the conference was in Florence. So we went early, stayed a few days in Rome. I did a show, couple of shows. For those of you who have access to my America, the mother of democracy has blocked my India global channel. So much for democracy in India. Anyway, so but I have another YouTube channel in India on which you are currently watching. So anyway, we took this train from Rome to Florence, and when we got down at Florence railway station, there were like hundreds and hundreds of Africans just sitting there. And obviously, I was curious, but I thought it would be rude to go and ask people and say, why are all Africans? And they'll say, oh my God, you're racist. Just because we are black, you're asking this question. Would you have asked this question if there were 200 white people sitting here? And so I didn't know what to do. So while I was standing there, there was a woman who was also standing there, and without me asking a question, she said, "Oh, these are all new migrants who have just got into Italy by boat, and they are waiting to take trains to different European countries. Some are going to Switzerland, some are going towards Britain, some are going to France, depending on which country they came from. So those who came from French-speaking countries are going to France. Those who came from English-speaking countries are trying to go to UK and so on and so forth. So I actually saw mass migration in Europe. And then a few months later, we went to Spain, and we love Spain, and especially Cordoba was fabulous. So we were going for dinner, and on the way, I have this on my Facebook. Some of you are my friends on Facebook. You can see those photographs of Spain. So there was a huge protest going on. So I took a few videos briefly, and then I joined the protest. And so everyone was talking Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. I'm not very good at all. So I could see that they were talking about immigrants, but I could also see that it was an all white audience. So we stood. So they accepted me and my wife. My wife can, she's from India, but if she's not with me, then you can mistake her to be a white woman. But with me, of course, there's no mistaking. I'm Indian. I look Indian everywhere. And if you notice, I sometimes also dress in clothes which signal that I'm from India. Yet they came to me, they talked to me, they gave me all these Spanish flyers, etc. And and the next day when we looked at, so we stood with them about 10 minutes, and then we moved on. And the next day, obviously after dinner, I came back and I Googled it. And it turned out it was an anti-immigration protest. So it was like a bizarre experience. I felt foolish. But it was okay. I wanted to see what they were doing. They were just singing, they were standing, and they were just distributing leaflets. There was no nasty comments. And it was so neutral that in 10 minutes, I could not figure out whether it was pro immigration or anti immigration. And so it was interesting to say. So those are my thoughts that I think that the anti-immigrant sentiment is shifting towards India, primarily because Indians have become the most visible immigrants. They are going to be also the largest from every part of every part of the world, at least the English-speaking world. Every country, the biggest number of people coming legally and illegally are mostly Indians. In America too, the illegal immigrants are third highest are from India. The highest are from Mexico, then Guatemala, then India. And there are many Latin American countries which are so close, but the third highest are India. So all the way from India, they go into Mexico and Guatemala. They go to actually France. From France, they go into Nicaragua by plane, and then they walk across from Nicaragua all the way through Mexico and come to the border here. And of course, now Donald Trump is building walls, setting up cops. So the other way in which they are coming is they're coming on student visas. They're coming on through Canada, and they're also coming mostly on tourist or business visas, and then not going back. All right, so that's all I have to say. This is just the beginning, I think, and things are going to get worse and worse and worse until the economies in Western countries stabilizes. And you know, you will not perhaps have thought of it, but the explosion of AI will create a lot of unemployment. I was just thinking the other day. I mean, I'm a professor who teaches social sciences, philosophy. I teach Islamic studies. And I think that even somebody like a job like mine can also be gone, because you could create a hologram, an avatar of me. So you could take my best lectures in every, let's say, I give 33 lectures in my foreign policy class. You could take those 33 lectures, and then you can have a hologram, AI generated, or a robot that can do what I do. And it'll always perform at its best, no headaches, no tired, sorry I came late today, I'm missing, I'm on vacation. Nothing like that. No vacation, nothing. We'll work 24/7, give the same level of performance, and cost very little. No health insurance, no holidays, no incentive, no promotions, no raise in salaries, just maintenance cost and maybe upgrades. And upgrades are not a bad thing because that means getting better. So I think when AI starts destroying jobs, and it will destroy jobs in the West first because these are more developed economies, more advanced economies. That means AI will be playing. We have started getting self-driving taxis now in New York. I think starting this week. So guess what happens? What will happen to these thousands and thousands of immigrants who are taxi drivers in New York? So I think the advent of AI in Western societies is going to destroy many jobs, which often immigrants do. And so there will be more backlash because there will be lesser jobs until everybody adjusts to the new AI dominated world where people will find ways to survive as it happened. Like, for example, the reason why Donald Trump won is because there is a large segment of Americans who did not adjust to the globalized economy. Globalization started in 1991. So it's about 35 years, and they have not adjusted to the new economy. And they have suffered as a result of it. They became poor, they have bad health care, they have bad future, their children have a bad future, they're insecure about it. And that's why all this anti-immigration sentiment that you see brewing everywhere. So I think AI will do in 2 3 years what globalization took 30 years to do. So things can get very ugly very quickly, I think. So anyway, let's pray that things really don't go that bad, and things get begin to uh, go worse. So so we will see how things work out. And thank you for watching Conversations. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer those questions and take your comments. Somebody just said that they are not able to hear me. Let me see if this is why are you not able to hear me. Let me see if you can hear me.
I do anything. Oh, you wish you.
So I don't know why some of you are not able to hear me. Uh, I don't know why some of you are not able to hear me. So I can hear on one of the. I just checked into one of the YouTube channels, so it does appear that I can hear myself. Anyway, uh, so let me see what the questions are. Christopher Moses. Chris is a supporter of Conversations, a member. Hi, Chris. How are you? Lalak Khan. Saudi and Iraq stop oil supply to India. How long does India sustain all these sanctions? Uh, they didn't stop to India. They just stopped selling oil, crude oil to the Nayara refinery, Lalak. It's not for the rest of India. So it's just one refinery. Yes, they have 8,000, I think, pumps in India, gas pumps. So they also not only sell abroad, they also sell domestically, that company, which is half Russian and half Indian. Rosneft or something is its name. Ajit Joshi, why do you say that? Why should they stop? I mean, some of the brightest people in the world are coming from India. So if Donald Trump were to ask my opinion, I would say yes, control for quality. And that's what Vivek Ramaswamy was saying. That's what Elon Musk said. We created H1B to steal geniuses from other countries, not bringing duffers here. Can you imagine all these illegal Gujaratis who are hanging around here? If they do what they do in India, like go and lynch somebody for eating a burger, you know how many burgers Americans eat? You know how many cows we eat? We eat like billions of gaumatas here in America. So if some nutcases go and try to lynch somebody because they are eating a burger, that's it. That's over. They will talk about saffron terror, Hindu terrorists, etc. And then a lot of anger will begin against India. So you have to be very careful what kind of people are coming here. And so we will see what happens. Fortunately, I think that the West needs immigrants, and the West has not managed immigration well, and many Westerners themselves have taken advantage of their immigration laws to make money. So there's a lot of mess going on, and as a result of that, there's a chance that they may throw the baby out with the bathwater. Uh, Sanjeet, the Indians are also very poor, bhai. There are many Indians who are poorer than the sub-Saharan Africa from the Bimaru states, like from most of the Hindi belt, Adityanath Yogi supporters in Uttar Pradesh, in Bihar, in Jharkhand, some parts of MP. These are all very, very poor people. They are poorer than Pakistanis in terms of per capita GDP. They are poorer than sub-Saharan Africa. If you remember, when Israel started hiring people to replace the Palestinians from Gaza, there were hundreds of thousands of Indians lining to go and work in Israel, even during the war. And I saw interviews of some Indians who were applying, masons, builders, bricklayers who were looking for jobs in Israel, and some of them were asked the question, "Aren't you afraid of the war?" So the answer was heartbreaking. One of them said, "We will die of hunger here because we don't have jobs. At least there's hope there that we'll have a job and maybe we'll survive long enough to send some money back home." My heart broke when I heard that, and I mean, there's a reason why Modi brags about sending free ration to 800 million people. You know, so there are poor people in India too, not just in Africa, and there are some African countries which are very, very rich. Zeno, no, no, not at all. It's not just Hindus who are being targeted. Indians are being targeted, but in most of these countries, Indian Muslims are less, because in order to be able to migrate, you have to have resources, you have to have higher education, and you have to have, the government also allowing you. So yes, so Muslims are underrepresented in the diaspora in various parts. So, for example, in India, Muslims are probably 15 to 16%. According to the 2011 census, we haven't had a census in India in the last 15 years, even though it's constitutionally was due in 2021. India says because of COVID, it could not do the census, but most countries, in fact, all countries except India, who were supposed to have their census in either 2020 or 2021 have had their census, but India has not had. Modi government being so effective, so efficient with digital technology and all of that, they haven't done it. So we have to rely on 2011 census. According to that, only 14% are Muslims. But I don't think in Australia, of that 1 million people, I don't think there are 140,000 Muslims in Australia from India, not at all. And I don't think that Muslims in North America. So there are about 55 lakhs or 5 million Indians here, and so 14% of that would be like what, 7 lakhs. I don't think that there are 7 lakh. That 700,000 Indian Muslims. No, there may be 400,000 Indian Muslims. So less than about 8% of, I think 8 or less than 10% of the Indian diaspora in the West is Indian Muslims. In the Gulf, yes, there might be more Muslims in the Gulf, but they are not immigrants. They are just guest workers. Uh, yes, Nick, you're perfectly accurate. In fact, one of the things that they are screaming is that in the next 5 years, there'll be like another million Indians coming, to at least a million. And from what you are saying, it would be 2.5 million. So there will be 3.5 times more than the British. And so they are really worried about their culture, especially since Indians are not assimilating at all. And they even pretend as if they are not Australians. Like, for example, uh, in India, they expect me not to be an American. They expect me to be loyal to India. So there's all this hue and cry in India as to why the Indian diaspora is quiet. I'm critical of, I did lots of shows critical of Trump, and I also did lots of shows critical of Peter Navarro. But my criticism also comes as an American and not just as a person of Indian origin. So there is this issue. I remember that in India, when Muslims used to cheer Pakistan, in the 1980s, that used to happen. There was all this hue and cry about how Indians are like not loyal to their country. And now, if you look in Australia, in England, in America, when America was playing India in the Test match, Indian Americans were cheering India. In Britain, when India plays England in England, Indians are cheering Indian Brits who are second, even third generation, are cheering India and not the country whose citizens they are and they have sown to be. And those who are born there, even Australia, you can see that, and it is appreciated. There was a video of Sardarji dancing when India was winning a match against UK, and it turned out that he was a British member of Parliament and a small, like junior minister also. It was very embarrassing for him. So yes, so that's a question that people have to ask. Okay. So there are a lot of hate mongers, unfortunately. And if you look at the social media these days, the most hateful people seem to be coming from India. A lot of nasty, especially with women, the comments that they make towards women commentators in media. Oh my God, it is not Vishwa Guru. It is awful, awful. Spiritual Guru is in an angry mood today. Uh, Vikram Sharma, namaskar to you, sir. If Russia is India's friend, then why don't Russian tourists come to India? Oh, sir, Matar, I asked, that's a very good question. I asked the other question. If you remember in the olden days, in the Soviet days, what is his name? The Kapoor guy, I'm forgetting his name, the father of Shashi Kapoor. And he, Mera Juta Hai Japani, that song was so famous, and that movie Joker became so famous in the Soviet Union. So they were genuine. Look, this is a fake story. This whole talk about Russia being my friend is rubbish. Nobody studies Russian. Nobody wants to go to Russia. The other day, I was on a show with Rohit Sharma, and I asked Rohit, where are the CEOs of Microsoft and Google from? And he said, oh, from India. And I said, where is the head of FBI from? And he said, oh, from India. And so I asked him several such questions. Who's the dean of Harvard? He's from India. Who's the president of Carnegie Mellon University, one of the best computer science universities on earth? He's from India. I said, now give me 3 such names about Russia. Indians who are CEOs of Russian companies in Russia. Indians who are heads of important departments in Russia who are from India. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Just talk. It's absolutely talk that we are trusted friends. India is not a trusted friend. For the last 5 years, India has been moving away from Russia and buying weapons and stuff mostly from France and Israel and the US. And oh, Vikram Meena, this is what Indians were doing, combining themselves with Zionist and right-wing haters to spread hatred towards Islam and Muslims, especially in UK. And now that is coming back because you don't realize that people who hate are always haters. So all these right-wing conservatives, whether they are from India, whether they are from Australia, whether they are from UK, they are hateful people. They're usually losers. They're usually incompetent, not very well educated people. And so now their hatred is turning towards India. And you will see that the same hatred, the same Nazis who Indians were enjoying when they were going after Muslims, now you are seeing they are going after Indians. Balwan Singh. Balwan means strong. Thank you very much. Why these Modi bucks are here? I have absolutely no idea, Nick. Why do they come here? Like, I provide a lot of analytical work, so I hope they learn something. If they are here, they should listen. But they're just here to, make hateful comments, and I'm okay with it because the more comments they make, the more my YouTube channel grows. Oh, hormone quest. The right wingers in India are destroying everything. The right wingers in India are against India's constitution. They are against the founding fathers of India. They are against Gandhi. They are against Nehru. They are against also Baba Saheb Ambedkar. They are against the Indian constitution. They are the most anti-India people today, are the right-wing Hindu nationalists in India, because they want a different country from the country that India is today. Saurabh, it depends on what field you're doing, Saurabh. If you are Saurabh Yadav, if you're planning to go for a tech kind of masters, right? If you're going to say do computer science, mechanical engineering, or pharmacy or medicine, then I say go and keep your head low. Don't go to this stupid, oh, Modi ji aa gaye, now we will be safe in Australia. Those kind of, don't go to those kind of usage by the Indian embassy, etc., exploiting the diaspora. Just focus on your study, make yourself MVP. That is what. Get up every day and say, I will be the best cricketer today. So I'll be the, if you're going there to be a master student, be the best master student. Find yourself, focus on research. Don't look for jobs. Don't try to say, let me finish my MA quickly and get a job with some computer firm. No, become the Vishwa Guru that we want to talk about. So focus on research, try to convert the masters into PhD. Remember, if you're coming to America, you have a better chance of getting funding for a PhD than for masters. Remember that, because for PhD you are with us for 5 6 years and you will work, you will do research, you will grade, you will teach. So we like to fund you. But if you're coming for masters, you may run away in 3 semesters and get a good job and be gone. So why should we fund you? So don't worry about this, because then this will calm down. This is slowly brewing. It will take years and years for hatred in Australia to reach that level that you're seeing in Europe and UK in particular. But there are lots of horrible things happening in UK. You have riots between Indians and Pakistanis now in UK. So people are getting sick and tired of South Asians, but not so in Australia. Uh, and uh, and there are also lots of good people. Don't forget that when the protest happened, they got into a big fight with Australians who were protesting the genocide in Gaza. Unlike Indians who never do that, there's no humanity left in India. Thousands of children are dying, but Indians don't get moved. Heartless. It has become a heartless civilization. It's full of hate these days. Just because those children are Muslims, they have no sympathy for them. They are starving to death. But Australians are not like that. Australians are full of compassion. They came out and literally just Google Gaza protests in Australia and you will see the huge crowds. The biggest crowds on anti immigration were less than 20,000. Sydney was 8,000. I think Melbourne was the one which was the biggest. But the protests for Gaza were much, much bigger. And I can guarantee you the right wingers there are like the right wingers in India. They would not protest for Gaza. And so there was a fight between the protesters for Palestine and protesters against anti immigration. And also, so there are lots more good people in these countries, plus a lot of even conservative, educated people, business owners. They recognize that they do need talented people. Remember, unless you are banking on luck, that then I cannot say anything. You should go and consult your astrologer and he can tell you where your stars are. But other than that, for middle class people who have not inherited wealth, like you're not getting millions of dollars from your father and grandfather, then for people like us, there's only one rocket for upward mobility, and that is education. Any investment in education is not a waste. Even if you go to Australia, just don't borrow money, go on scholarship. If you go to Australia, try to finish the coursework very quickly, and God forbid, even if you're forced to leave, you have an Australian degree, it will give you an edge in India. And there are other places where you can go. You can go to Singapore, you can go to Malaysia, the economy is booming, Indonesia, Central Asia, everywhere. I travel everywhere and there are Indians everywhere. A few years ago, this is actually 15 years ago, I went to a small town called in Ireland. So I landed in Shannon and went to this town, small town, and reached there very late at night. There was nothing to eat. I went to sleep and I got up late. And so the breakfast was over in the hotel. So I got down and he said, look, the breakfast is here in Ireland. It's very good. Just go across and there's a big breakfast place and you can have a great breakfast. So it was in Galway. The town is Galway in Ireland. So I went across, and believe it or not, the whole place was full of Indians, mostly Telugu speaking. Bago Nawa. So there were a lot of Telugu speaking people sitting there, and I was like amazed. I went and joined some of them, and I had just learned that Ireland has suddenly opened up investments for building all kinds of IT projects there for Europeans, and they needed engineers. And guess where they brought them from? They brought them all from India. I mean, this was the beginning days when Indian tech was beginning to go abroad, especially in US and Europe. So if you have knowledge and expertise, even if they don't like you, they don't like your skin, they don't like your accent, there are lots of problems. So for example, I don't know whether you know this, all rich Indians have two kitchens. They have a fabulous kitchen just for show. They don't cook there. They cook in the garage where they have another kitchen in the garage where they cook, because the Indian food smells so much that if you have closets in which you keep your jackets or clothes down, or if the food is being cooked and you come down and you're sitting there, then your clothes absorb the smell of Indian food, and it irritates a lot of others who are not used to the Indian food smell. I didn't realize that until 3-4 years in America, and then I could tell. I said, "Oh my God, this is smelling of Indian food." And so we are very careful constantly to make sure that So there are a lot of small things and big things which generate dislike, unhappiness, and it's not towards the individual; it is towards the class of people. So it kind of generates discriminatory feelings towards other people. So all that is happening. But if you are the smartest person in the room, smell of idli or smell of chicken doesn't matter. They need you. So work to become the MVP, whether you're in a company or a university. Most valuable player in that place. And we have a lot of hateful people. Let me tell you, for those of you people like Shankar B, the comments in the chat disappear as soon as I end the chat. So all your effort to repeatedly espouse hatred, maybe you're getting your 2 rupees from the IT cell people for making irrelevant comments which has nothing to do with the discussion. But let me tell you that the moment I end this chat, this live broadcast, all your comments will go away. So all these multiple posts that you're posting, take that screenshots and go collect your 2 rupees. Maybe that's how you earn your living, especially given now with Trump tariffs, there will be lots of loss of jobs. So I guess there will be more BJP IT cell. Apparently, they gave you 2 rupees to say one hateful thing. Uh, uh, so there are people here who are doing that. Yes, again and again, same comments. Uh, Neil Kansa, good morning and thanks for such good topic with explaining clearly. Please make a detail on education. Yes, in fact, I want to bring some more experts from India on education. There are two things I need to do. One on the latest Indian quarter, which was very good, 7.8% growth. But remember, it was driven by service, 9% growth in the service sector, not in manufacturing. So the whole talk of Atmanirbharta is not happening there. And so we'll see how it goes. Yes, Raj Kapoor, Christopher. Yes, thank you very much, Chris. Raj Kapoor. I don't know how I forgot Raj Kapoor's name, but remember that song is so interesting. Listen to it. It was, I think, 1950s. Mera juta hai Japani, meri पतलून इंग्लिस्तानी सर पे लाल टोपी रूसी फिर भी दिल है हिंदुस्तान. It was anticipating globalization and Indians. There I know Indians who have gone to Australia and studied in Australia, then gone to UK and worked in UK, then came to the US to do PhD and then stayed back in the US, and their wife might be British or their wife might be Australian, or their kids are Australian, their wife was British and they went to Canada. So it's like that. A lot of Indians are like that, that the mera juta hai Japani type of spirit. So that is the era of globalization. So Raj Kapoor was long-sighted person, and very talented too. And he was highly appreciated. I think he got many uh, awards from the Soviet Union, highly appreciated there too. Okay. All right. So thank you everybody for watching. Himanshu Prasad, how are you? Everybody thank you very much. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, press the bell icon, and don't, if you're in India and you understand Hindi, then also look at the show that I posted 11 o'clock. It's about a discussion with four prominent journalists on the reactions in India to what happened at SCO, and the rhetoric that is coming from the United States, which is becoming more and more hateful towards India. And so thank you very much. Oh my God, Himanshu, that would be very, very scary because I mean, I was about to end the show, but he's talking about 200% tariffs on the pharmaceuticals that come from India to the US. So let me give you an example. In terms of money, in terms of revenue, India's share of pharmaceuticals that are imported, not the total America's use, only the imported generic pharmaceuticals, are 6% in terms of revenue that comes from India. But in terms of volume, it is 47%, which means India is selling a lot of low cost generic medicine to the US, which means a lot of poor people are buying that and surviving on it. I take some blood pressure medicine, and I usually buy that from a place called CVS, and my insurance covers that. And I was having trouble. It was my mistake. I waited too late to refill it, and so I had only 2 days worth of medicine left, and the refills were gone. And they said we can't get it. It'll take 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. So my payment for that medicine is $30 for 3 months. So it's about $10 per month for the medicine that I take. And I couldn't get it. And so they said, well, go to Walmart. And I went to Walmart, and Walmart said, we have generic medicine. And it was not $30. It was like $10 or less than that, $9 something. And I called my cardiologist, and he said, it's the same, Muqtada, it's the same medicine. It's the same formula, same medicine, no difference. One is branded, one is generic. And then he laughed and said, it's probably from your home country, India. So yes, it's an important thing, and poor people in America will suffer. And I think if he imposes 200% tariffs on pharmaceuticals, then India can do what is called as round tripping it through other countries, maybe send it to Dubai and send it from there, or export it to Europe. And from Europe, like India now has a free trade agreement with Great Britain. So Himanshu, maybe you can open a company in London and import those medicines free of tariffs into England, and then export it to US for just 10%. Oh my God, I shouldn't give such ideas, otherwise people might grab me. Uh, uh, Thank you, Mansingh. Rohit sir, totally agree with you. In some school districts in Canada, only Indian, South Asian students are left with very few handful native Canadians. Yeah, they're worried about that. And you know, a few years ago, I started teaching classes on South Asia. So I teach 9 countries in South Asia. I teach India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Maldives, Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, and Canada. And my students have a laugh that we actually spend a whole day I mean, two classes a whole week studying Canada as a South Asian countries. And you'll be finding so fascinating. There is a Sikh Harley Davidson club of Sardarjis. There are like 200-300 of them. They ride motorcycles in Vancouver. So there is a motorcycle gang of Sikhs, which is very funny social. I have had students who have written papers on that gang. They're quite amused as to how, they don't wear helmets, they wear the turbans and they are riding. There are lots and lots of Sardarjis in the British in the Canadian Parliament. I think there are 28 or something like that. So there are lots of people who write about Sikhs in Canada. Then there are also, other pockets like Mississauga and Toronto about which they write. These are like South Asian cities now, especially Toronto and Mississauga. Then there are people who write about Indian doctors, etc. So yes, Canada is kind of becoming a South Asian country. People are coming and saying all kinds of rubbish, probably with fake names. All right, thank you very much for watching. The reason I stopped was because Rohit is also a member of Conversations, and I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for watching, and good night.